My name is Kevin Juday. I'm the Director of Sports Information at Elmhurst University. As part of the CCIW College Conference Illinois Wisconsin 75th anniversary, every school in the CCIW is talking to a former student athlete from a certain decade. Tonight, I'm joined by Sarah Hawkins, who is a member of the Elmhurst then college, now university volleyball team back in the 1990s. Sarah was a CCIW, a four-time all-conference player, a three-time first-team all-conference honoree, excuse me. Also became the second Blue Jay to win CCIW Player of the Year honors in consecutive years. She did that in 1997 and 1998. Was part of the 1998 squad that captured the first CCIW championship for head coach Julie Hall. She stuck around afterwards, was my broadcast partner for some of our games back on Blue Jay TV, is doing color commentary for volleyball, and we're happy to have her with us tonight. Sarah, thanks so much for your time and joining us.
Thank you. It's so great to be here.
Some of the questions, we're looking back at the 75th anniversary of the CCW. We wanted to talk about your time at Elmhurst. So tell everybody where you're from originally and how you came to land at Elmhurst and play volleyball.
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I grew up in a very small town in southern Illinois called Mount Olive. It's about an hour east of St. Louis. Very small town. My graduating class had 29 students in it. And I think the reason I came to Elmhurst was very simple, and that is that Coach Hall recruited me. She did the work, and that she was incredibly motivated to seek out talent, and I would say raw talent at the time. I wasn't terribly skilled, but I guess she saw potential, and she made the pitch, and I really something about her coaching style really synced with me, and I knew that Elmhurst was the place for me, at least in terms of volleyball and the sport and playing for Coach Hall.
So you kind of grew up in a time around this where women's sports wasn't as prominent, women's professional sports rather, wasn't as prominent as it is now. So who were some of your role models, or who did you look up to when you were growing up?
Oh goodness, that's a good question. Well, I was, of course, being near St. Louis, I was a huge St. Louis Cardinals fan, and I loved anything to do with the St. Louis Cardinals. I loved Jack Clark. He was the first baseman for the Cardinals at the time, and Jose Oquendo was the catcher. I could probably name the entire starting lineup of the St. Louis Cardinals. And we didn't, to be fair, it's funny that you asked that because, of course, a male athlete came to mind, right? And now it's so wonderful to think that young women growing up today have so many female athletes to look up to and admire now, that have been able to take a national stage. So it's really wonderful to see all of these women's professional athletes getting acclaim.
As a Cub fan, I won't hold your St. Louis Cardinals answer against you, but and I could probably name the '84 Cubs lineup too.
There you go.
The time that I grew up watching baseball too.
Yep.
You mentioned seeing some of the women's professional sports now that have started to evolve. We're seeing the WNBA. Now we've got professional softball. So we're watching one of the first U.S. based volleyball leagues happening right now as well, too. So kind of what are your thoughts overall? How excited are you to see that growth and how far it's come? And we know there's still a long way to go, but how is nice is it to see that growth now?
Well, I think it's in a way, I think it was inevitable, right? We just needed a chance. We just needed an opportunity to showcase that female athletes have talent too, and female athletes can show the skills that they have. And it's really gratifying to see women today, not just at the professional levels, but even, going home and watching, when I say home, I mean Elmhurst, going to Elmhurst and seeing the women's volleyball team play, the athleticism of these young ladies, and what they can do, and how radically the game has changed. The game has become so much more athletic, so much faster, and so much more aggressive. And it's wonderful to see how much volleyball has grown in the time that since I've played. It's become a dramatically different game where there's some really important, crucial rule changes and different how should I say, different practices in the way that the game is played that has really advanced the sport. So I think it's a much more exciting game to watch now, and it highlights women's athleticism much more now as well.
Touch on that a little bit more, will you? What are, besides, I was going through before this interview, we we're trying to find some old photos and whatnot. Besides wearing the jerseys that had collars on them, which is a whole other subject, how
Yeah.
else do you feel the game has changed since the time that you stopped playing to where it is now? You talked about the speed and a few other things. What are some of the other big differences that you notice?
Well, for example, when we played, we still played, oh goodness, I forget the name of it, but it was kind of service point.
Side out scoring, yeah.
Side out scoring, yes, thank you. Side out scoring, where you could only get a point if you served, if you were the serving team, right? And so now with the transition to rally scoring, the game has become much more aggressive. It emphasizes aggressive serves and blocking much more. And as a corollary, of course, there is a much more liberal interpretation of that first hit, right? So there's much more leeway in terms of what that team can do on defense as well. And of course, the addition of the libero is a game changer as well. We didn't have the libero when we played in college, and that came a few years after our class graduated, and it's really just changed the game. I think it's for the better. I think it's a much better game to watch, much more fun, much more athletic, like I said.
You came to Elmhurst at a time of change for the volleyball program here, from the 1980s with a couple of national championships and a runner-up, and then the teams in the late 80s, early 90s kind of went through a period of struggle. Coach Hall came in, and you were kind of one of the first recruits, and really you and your teammates kind of were the building blocks going forward for eventually a conference championship team. How did Coach Hall and your teammates change the culture and kind of build it back to a winning program? And what was it like playing for Julie Hall?
Well, I think that, it's really, my class is really fortunate to be able to call ourselves the first ones, but really players come and go, and it's all Coach Hall. I'd love to take some kind of credit for this. As much as I'd love to do that, it's all Coach Hall. Julie made this program. She made it what it is today, and she's been the consistent force behind the success of this program. She has such high standards for herself and for her team, and for the players that she coaches, and she invests so much in that success that there's just, I saw that right away. I knew, I could see it in her when she recruited me, and I knew that whatever she did and wherever she was going to make it a success. So all credit to Coach Hall. She's just a winner. She's great.
I said you came in kind of an era of rebuild. You went out on top, winning a conference championship, playing in the NCAA tournament. How did it feel to kind of, from where you started to where you got closing your career out as a champion and going to the national tournament?
Well, that validation is always important. It's so, one of the joys of sports is to fail again and again and again, and then finally succeed, right? That's the joy of playing in athletics and playing as a team. And so to have that validation of being able to put it in the record books and being able to put up that banner and show people that we believed in Coach and we believed in the program that she laid out for us, and carry it through for her was such an honor. So, and as you know, she's done it. I've lost count of how many times she's done it since our class. So she's just done it again and again.
We're talking about the CCIW and the 75th anniversary. CCIW started sponsoring women's sports in the 80s. So it's changed from then to where it is now. It changed from your time to where it is now too. What was it? The CCIW is now we know it's evolved into kind of one of a national power in volleyball, usually a couple teams routinely earning top 10 rankings. What was it like when you were playing for it in the conference then? Who was the toughest opponent that you guys faced in the league?
For us, I think our big rival would have been Illinois Wesleyan. Just at the time, our matchup was pretty even. But again, those come and go. I remember Carthage started to get good the year I left. I think they got, I forget what year they kind of started on the upswing. Carthage has been a very strong program for a while now, but I think it shows the strength. There's always some team, right? Millikan, North Central, Illinois Wesleyan, Elmhurst. It depends on the year, right? At every team, you never really know who's going to win. Certainly you have your favorites, but I think that shows how competitive this conference is and how high the talent level is with the players in the conference.
What would you say, do you have a fondest memory, or what would you say some of your fondest memories are in your time with the Elmhurst volleyball team? That could probably be a long answer, I'm guessing.
I'm going to give you one weird answer and one answer that I'm sure you can imagine. So, of course, one of my favorite memories was winning the conference title. We were determined, we were on a mission, and it was ours to take, and we were going to get it. And having that validation and being able to actually close it out. And not only close it out, but my roommate got all tournament team, having Rachel Haas be announced as the one of the members of the all tournament team was really a highlight for our team, because she was such a bright spot for our team, and she was such a wonderful team player. And to have her get that accolade her senior year was just a really great memory for our entire team. And then, this is going to sound really strange, but when I think back on the times that I really enjoy being on the team, a lot of times it was just the bus rides, right? Back then, we didn't have the fancy vans with the movie theaters inside them, right? And we didn't have iPads, we didn't have cell phones. And so we had to talk to each other. we all had to cram in these big, cargo vans, right? For the drive to Augustana or the drive to Decatur. And we had to entertain each other and tell each other stupid stories and gossip and make fun of each other. And, you don't think about those things in the moment, but I still recall those times, the times that you think you're wasting time end up being some of your most favorite memories. So
the best, you guys, you're talking mid to late 90s. You're probably talking about Walkmans and Discmans back then, I guess.
Yes, I remember.
If that would have been the fancy technology back then. So
yes. Yeah, I remember getting a Discman for my birthday when I was in college, and it was pretty great. And that was actually, if you recall, when we were in college, that's when, I want to say it was our junior or senior year, we got email. We got this new fancy thing called email.
American Online came out when I was like at the tail end of my high school era there. So an email address. It's funny to think how long it's been and how much stuff has changed, and even just 20 years or so. It's hard to think. What would you say? What advice would you offer to either young women playing collegiate volleyball now, or any young woman who's interested in playing, whether it be volleyball or any sport collegiately, or dare to even professionally beyond the collegiate level?
Yeah, that's, gosh, again, the game has changed so much, and it's become so much more athletic. It's hard for me to imagine I have any kind of advice to give. Specifically for Elmhurst college athletes, I would say believe in Coach Hall and listen to her and do what she tells you, because she's right, even when you don't want to believe that. And just generally speaking, for women that are looking to play college, I think that the best piece of advice I can give them is enjoy it. You are part of an extremely small and privileged group of young people that have this really, really special time in your life, and don't waste a minute of it not enjoying it, because it's going to be one of the most wonderful times of your life.
So tell us a little bit about, after your time at Elmhurst. I know you went on to continue your education. Tell us what you've been up to since your time, since after you left Elmhurst.
Sure, yeah. So I graduated Elmhurst with a Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry, and I now have a PhD in microbiology and immunology from University of Illinois. And I'm a professor of biology. I teach mostly microbiology, but I sometimes teach other biology classes out here I'm here in San Diego, and I teach at San Diego City College. So I'm a professor in the Department of Life Sciences out here. I really, really like it.
It must be pretty rough in San Diego. I think everyone here in the Midwest is probably insanely jealous. I get the feeling that the weather there is just constantly nice.
It's almost, I told a friend of mine, it's almost creepy. It's like every day it's sunny and beautiful, and it's really nice.
So you had a funny story about what a pet that you saved during the quarantine time. I thought that was pretty interesting. Tell me about that.
Oh goodness. So we have at our school, we have all different kinds of science labs, and one of our labs was an animal physiology lab. And so we had a lot of different lab animals that were part of the kind of display. And sometimes there was no bad tests, always nice tests. There were sometimes tests done on the animals. And so one of them was a little leopard gecko. And so when quarantine hit last fall, we went from everything's okay to being shut down in less than a week. Once a decision was made, it happened really fast. And because we're an urban campus and there were a lot of safety issues with the campus not being occupied, they closed down the campus completely. In other words, there was no, you couldn't even go on campus. So we needed to figure out something to do with these animals. So I volunteered to take the leopard gecko and rehome it and find a home for it. And now he's with us. He's part of the family. So we ended up keeping him. He's pretty cute.
The last thing I'll ask you, I know you have still been pretty passionate about Elmhurst volleyball since you left. I know you're still following him. So how fun is it to follow him? And do you still get as excited for a match when, even though you're a few thousand miles away now, you can't be in the gym, but you're watching it on video instead?
Oh, absolutely. You can ask Coach Hall. I texted her the other night. What was that? A couple weeks ago when they took a game from Carthage. So I immediately texted Coach Hall. I know that was a big win for them, and I love it when we beat Carthage. I will always be happy about that one. So I definitely keep an eye on that. And I love the right. I mean, I think it's a healthy rivalry, right? It's a very. I think the competition is so high because the talent level is there. It's a very good competitive, positive type of rivalry. So I love seeing that. And it's an odd year, it's an odd season. Of course, we're playing volleyball in the spring. Who would have ever thought? But we got to make do with what we got. So yeah, I'm absolutely following. I'm going to watch the game after our interview just now.
That's all I had for you today. So Sarah, thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. And I hope you can enjoy the game tonight, and good luck with all your future endeavors, and enjoy watching that sunrise over the ocean there.
Oh gosh, it's gorgeous. Thank you. Take care, Kevin.
Take care.